is good, guys? It is Reed and welcome back to a long-awaited video. Today we're going to be going over the Tenkai palm, my second favorite palm of all time. I use it fairly often. I think it's a great palm. You know, it is a little tricky. The angles are not so great, but it has a lot of really cool applications, and that's why I love it. Daniel Madison obviously is a huge inspiration for me on the Tenkai palm, and once again he has a Tenkai palm masterclass, which, just like my Gambler's Cop video, you guys need to check that out because there's so many amazing ideas in there, and his teaching is phenomenal, and that's really where you want to go to take your Tenkai palm to the next level. In this video I'm going to give you guys a good understanding of the hand placement, the fundamentals, some simple loads, and some really cool ideas that you can use with the Tenkai palm. Now, the Tenkai palm was invented by a Japanese magician, first name Tenkai, believe it or not. And from what I could find, it was first published in Greater Magic in 1938. That's all I got for history. I'm not Sean Devine. I'm not quite as up to speed on all of the history, but I do my best. I'm not a huge bookworm, that's the thing. I do enjoy magic books, but I'm just not a super bookworm. That's kind of my problem. Anyway, that is what I know. Daniel Madison, big inspiration, like I said, for me on this move, and he's got some great work on it, some of my favorite work on it. But I do love the Tenkai palm. I like these sort of different palms, Gambler's Cop Tenkai, over the classic palm, just because I really don't think the classic palm's natural. And my big reason that I've said a lot is that if you ask a layman how to palm a card, this is exactly what they would do. So it just seems too obvious, you know? So I much prefer the Gambler's Cop and then Tenkai close second, because there's a lot of cool uses with the Tenkai. So let's just get it straight into the Tenkai palm. All right, time for a quick demo on the Tenkai palm. I think this camera angle is gonna be terrible for exposing this, so I'm gonna try my best here. Take the 9 of hearts. You know, could be any one of these, doesn't matter. But here's what we'll do. Just trying to wing this here. It's hard to demonstrate with a palm, but we'll take the 9 of hearts here. And actually, let's put that in the middle, and it comes back to the top. You might be wondering how that used it to a Tenkai palm, but actually, I did palm a card. Here's a bit of exposure on the Tenkai palm. Let's take the 8 of diamonds. We'll leave it in the middle of the deck. And we'll take the deck, and I will come here and I will cut the cards like that, and the 8 of diamonds is on top. So that is actually a very overcomplicated way of being able to cut to a card, but it utilizes the Tenkai palm, which is pretty neat. So time for the breakdown. So let's start simply with the hand positions of this palm. So this palm, you're essentially coming over top of the card and gripping it like this, okay? So the card is gonna rest along the inside of the hand and the outside of the thumb. You're gonna wanna have a little bit of an upwards bend like this, but not much. You're basically just relaxing the hand and it's keeping the card there. What I like to do for a setup is hold it straight, open your hand like this, and turn it so that it makes a nice V where the index and the thumb line up with these top corners. Okay, and that's where you bring the hand over top and you relax. And the thumb kind of holds it like that. Now, there's a big thing is how far out should this card go. A classic Tenkai was actually used to be out pretty far. They would hold it like this. The angles aren't as good and you can't be quite as free. So I really like to have this card really, really far back. So from the top, sort of straight on view, this corner, if you look on the thumb, this is the gauge of how far out it is. So this corner is all the way in the back of the thumb. It's not sticking out past the thumb at all. And that, basically, I am totally kind of covered at all these sort of angles here. And I can really move these fingers. I can close my hand really easily, open it, kind of go like this. And you can see how far it's sticking out the back, but that angle is really well covered by the top of the thumb here. From the back here, we're coming over top with this V, and it's sitting sort of right in here, okay? So this edge is in the palm, and this edge is along the thumb like that. So if you hold the card out, this hand comes over top, you get that nice V going here, right? Index on the corner, thumb on this corner. Bring that thumb all the way to the top corner and rest your hand. That's my position. You can adjust that a little bit, but I think that's kind of the best way. It allows you to be the most free don't worry about this. We'll go over the angles now. So Tenkai is great because you're totally covered from your right side, okay, if you're right-handed. And you can come all the way around until you're straight on. So you have a really nice 90-degree window. Now, obviously, the left side, there's nothing we can do. It is wide open. But by tilting our hand in a little bit, we can use that range or that angle that we have of about 90 degrees, and we can shift that in front of us, right? By just tilting the hand in. So now that 90-degree angle is more in front of us, okay? And that's gonna be a big tip. The knuckles here are what's gonna be pointing at your eye line. That's kind of your gauge, right? Knuckles right at the eye line, and that'll keep it hidden. There's not much you can do. Like from the right side, again, it's really, really well hidden in all sort of angles. As you get straight on is when you're gonna have to start to tilt the hands in, and you know that's the only way you're gonna be able to hide it, really. You can see that, right? Like the hands are gonna have to tilt in, and I mean, that's not terrible, especially if you have the other hand up like this, which we're gonna talk about in a second, because standing and doing a Tenkai palm is very unnatural. So we'll talk about some ways to do that in a second, but that is essentially the gist of it, right? In terms of angles. So you wanna make sure when you're performing it that your hands aren't open and that they're slightly in like this. And don't just turn the right hand in because then it looks awkward. So have them both slightly in like that, and that'll be great for your angles. And this knuckle here, right at eye line. If you're too high, you'll kind of start to flash at the bottom, and if you're too low, out the back, obviously. So that's a really nice spot. Then windows too, right? You can pretty much have your hands wide open. Like you can see if my hands are in, I mean, that looks really, really nice, okay? So if you have that card far back, that's one of the advantages, because if it's up here, then you're gonna have to keep those windows closed. So really, I would recommend you have a, you know, like I said, V, and pull that corner so it's all the way behind the thumb, this corner here. Pull it behind the thumb, and you're good. So that's really, really the key here, okay? And that's really gonna allow you to have, you know, freedom and not have to worry so much about your windows. The only window is in here, between the thumb and the index. But if you're from here, you can use the index to block it really well, and you can still have the hands open, right? If you touch these fingers together, that'll ensure that you always have that window covered from these angles, right? So that's a little thing you can do when you're first starting if you're unsure about that window, is if you touch these fingers together, that'll always have that window blocked. And it doesn't really look unnatural, right? It's just kind of, you're just chilling out. But as you get, you know, more comfortable with it, you can have those fingers open, and you can really wave the fingers, and they won't see anything because this index comes over and covers that window. You see how that works? So it is quite good, honestly, from this kind of 90-degree angle. If you can bring that 90-degree angle from off to your right, I guess, or to your right over here to in front of you, and you do that by kind of tilting the hands in a little bit, okay? Now let's go over the load. So the basic bottom load for Tenkai is quite easy. We're just using our left hand, and we're pushing that card over and back, okay? So it's gonna be in this position, which is exactly sort of that V position that we had to grab the card. So I like to do it under the action of squaring, okay? So as you know, usually if I've done a dribble or something and I'm square, or I've done a control, and I can set up like that and take the deck away with this hand and the cards in Tenkai. So over and back, it's kind of one fluid motion, right? So you're pushing it over and back, okay? Over and back. Let's get an exposed view. Over and back. And it's really, really easy. You're just using the hands. There's almost a track here, because this corner needs to clear this thumb before you can turn and then start to push back. So you're just kind of following this track. And then these fingers, as you get to this back corner, you want to bring, you know, pretty much corner to corner, and then that card will be far enough back where it's right underneath this hand. This top right hand here doesn't really have to move, and you're just holding it on with the fingers so it doesn't fall. And then this thumb is simply relaxing down a little bit to get the card into grip, and then you can release with these fingers. And then a great subtlety is to take the deck away for a shuffle perhaps, but just take that deck away, bring all the attention here, get all the heat off your hand, and you have that card in palm. So again, I like to do it under the guise. I'm just squaring up here and I hand out the deck for a shuffle. Boom, awesome. The one thing you want to be careful of is as you're taking away, there's going to be that window there. So you want to make sure as you take away, those fingers close really quickly. You don't want to, you know, kind of drop like this, but just kind of like this, and take that card away. then you can make some adjustments eventually for that card in palm. So I'll show you how to make a few adjustments later on. Standing versus at the table is very different. The Tenkai to me is meant to be used at the table because you need your hands to be resting for it to work. You can't have them at your side. So the table's great. You can rest, you can wiggle your fingers, you know, you can do a lot of things at the table, close your hands, open them, point, a lot of great things. Standing, it's a little more difficult, right? You kind of get in this position where you have to have your hands up like this. And you can see even pointing while standing, you have to have your hand turned in a bit. And this is okay, right? If you can kind of, but standing like this for an extended period of time is kind of strange. The only way to do a Tenkai standing is to kind of have your hands open, but you're up in this position, you're not relaxed. So it does look like you're like antsy and ready to do something. So honestly, I don't think I ever really use a Tenkai in street performances. I can't think of any tricks that use it. It's all for table work really for me. That's what I would recommend. I mean, you can stand, point for a little bit, and you can say, you know, whatever point, kind of hold your hands. I would say hold your hands sort of like this. Madison does this a lot, where he's kind of pointing like this if he's standing. And that's honestly the best way. This finger again covers the window, and it looks sort of natural, but again, your shoulders are up here like this, and it's kind of weird. So again, Tenkai for me is more of a move that's for the table, but it's great at the table because you can have your hands rested and it looks totally natural. Now some subtleties, some great subtleties with the Tenkai are the sort of wiggling of the fingers, like I've been talking about. Pointing, so when you point, you always want to make sure you're tilted in a bit, right? So even if you're pointing at something straight in front of you, you're going to come like this, off to the side and point. You know, I'm not coming straight. So you just want to make sure you're always off, tilted inwards to your left, I guess. Just making sure those knuckles are always at the eye line when you're pointing. Again, great for standing. You can do a lot of pointing. You can use your hand in Tenkai a lot, like with some cuts. That's my favorite use. You see how great that looks? I'll often do that as a little convincer here. And that whole time I had a card in Tenkai like that. That looks so good. I'm looking at it right now. Awesome, right? Super clean. Again, all you're doing is you're just cutting off this way a bit so that your hand doesn't need to travel straight and you flash just off to the side. And it's covered the whole time. So a cut is great. You can hold the deck really easily, and that provides even some more extra cover. If you were going to use a Tenkai standing, I'd make sure you have the deck in your hand, but then it almost defeats the purpose of the palm. So again, not great standing, but you know, Madison has a lot of great applications, like the Mad Tenkai cut, where you're cutting and replacing and doing switches. So all that stuff's in his masterclass. Super, super awesome. Great stuff. But those are some of my favorite subtleties, you know, pointing, cutting, and just using this hand in general, picking up a box of foam, you know, the classic things you want to do in your palming, right? Body language, as with any palm, we want to be natural and relaxed, okay? We don't want to bring attention. That's why this is not great. So natural, relaxed, I like to, you know, wiggle the fingers, chill, bring the hands in, open the fingers, you know, whatever. Don't be too antsy, just, you know, be relaxed with it, be natural, be very normal and confident. That's a big thing, confidence. That no one's going to catch you, and that's half the battle. If you believe that you're not going to get caught and that you don't have a card, so will everyone else. Some other uses and ideas. I wanted to talk quickly about adjustments. So this is more when you're getting a load, right? Sometimes you'll do a load, and the card won't be exactly where you like it. So one adjustment that I'll often do is I'll grip this corner with the index. You can transfer very easily, and I can re-grip the thumb either back or forward to get it in the right spot. So if I'm up here, I can go like this and transfer it further back into the hand, right? You can almost push it back with this index. And from, if you're in that sort of load position, it's not very unnatural. See, it's just a small movement. So that's some of the adjustments to move it forward and back. Sometimes you'll have it like bow outwards, and you can just curl the hands underneath and kick it upwards because you don't really want it to bow down like this. Sometimes you'll get a load and it'll be down like that. So I'll just bring the hands under and flick it up like this, right? So just coming here and pushing it up like this, back into Tenkai. Super easy, super natural. What other problems might you have? If it's like not grip, like if you miss the grip on the hand and it slips out like this, you're kind of doomed. If you grip too far on the thumb, again, it's easy to just readjust that grip. You just come in with the index to hold the card, and you can move the thumb up and down to get your comfortable position and push that card back where you need it. Also use the table. Sometimes you'll have the card like more downwards than back, like it'll just be aimed downwards. So you can just use the table to kick that up into your Tenkai. So those are some great options for adjustments. Another thing is the one-handed bottom load. This is a a Madison idea, but it's quite hard, but I do use it. It's where you flick the card off with your ring finger and you kick the card all the way back with your ring finger into Tenkai like that. Okay, you can do it one-handed. My favorite way to use it is to do the load with one hand, take the deck away with the other, but you can do it totally with one hand. And from the front, let's see if it kind of looks like that. There's a little bit of that weird motion, at least for me, because I have smaller fingers. But you're just clipping, you're kind of holding it in sort of a modified biddle grip, clipping with the ring finger and kicking that card all the way back. And then this thumb can come over top and grip the card as you place the deck down, and this ring finger kicks it up into Tenkai. It's tricky, takes a lot of practice, but I just like it for doing it as I transfer the deck into the other hand. It kind of gets the card set, then I can just come over top and grab this card out. And another nice thing is if you have any issues, you can use the fingers to help adjust that card as you're taking the deck away. So it kind of makes it a two-handed load again, but it's a little bit more seamless because you're starting the load with one hand and you're taking it away, right? Starting the load and then taking it away. So just an idea. As always, you know, letting the spectator shuffle is a great option with any palm, or a great sort of justification and the tension direction, get the heat off this hand. So I'm pretty much always doing that whenever I'm doing a Tenkai, right? And one of the reasons I love Tenkai is because of how well it fits with the Gambler's Cop, right? The Tenkai position and the Gambler's Cop position are like perfectly in line with each other. So that means you can transfer really easily from Tenkai to Cop, right? So if you get your angles, you can kind of learn how you can kind of transfer that card back and forth. Something I do use, I'll come from a Gambler's Cop here, load the card into Tenkai, and then you can even go back if you wanted to, right? But it's I prefer the Gambler's Cop up into Tenkai. It's easier to make invisible, but they both can work, right? I like to do that little rub subtlety after I transfer it, but it's just about angles. You just come up into Gambler's Cop and you want to turn to your right a little bit as you press it, and you're just kind of pushing up using this part of your hand. You flex your fingers back so this becomes elevated, and you can use that to press the card up. See, just like that, up into Tenkai. So it works great for that. There's a couple switches you can do, like I can take the Queen of Hearts here and throw it in my hand, and it changes into the 9 of Hearts. That's a cool switch that I've been working on for a while. I will teach that one day. One of my favorite loads, I think it's the Mad Tenkai load, or Madness load, or Mad load, whatever Daniel calls it. You take a card in the Gambler's Cop, and or you take a card in your hand like this, and you can kind of spread this deck and show it's different. And now I've loaded, well, I use it as a load. I guess actually it's meant as a switch, but so you take the 9 of Hearts and you kind of spread through these decks like this. Now it's switched to the Queen. So they work really well together, Tenkai and Gambler's Cop, and that's probably one of the reasons it is my second favorite palm. All right, guys, that is it on the Tenkai palm. This is just a brief introduction, some angles, some hand positions, some cool little ideas, things you can do with it, and why I like it. I think it's a worthwhile palm, and there's some tricks coming up that I'm going to be teaching that definitely do use it, and I've talked about it before, so I wanted to give a little overview on it, because a good overview on the Tenkai palm is hard to come by, in my opinion. Madison, and you know, that's about it. But that was a great video. Turned out really nice. I hope you guys love it. And let me know in the comments, what do I want to know this video. I'm going to start doing this now, asking you guys a question at the end of the video to answer in the comments, because there's a lot of things I'd like to know. There's a lot of engagement that I'd like to improve on as well. So I'm gonna try to wing them too. I'm just gonna see what comes off the top of my head as I'm filming. If I suck at it, then I'll start planning them out more. But this video, I would like to know if you dislike the classic palm or if you like the classic palm, because I feel like I have a controversial opinion on not liking it, but because I know a lot of people love it, and just because it's like hidden from all angles for the most part. But just curious. Let me know, guys. I would love to know what you think. But with all that said, of course, like, subscribe, you guys know the drill. Please leave me a comment, new subs, old subs. I'd love to hear from you guys. I love interacting, so let me know. But welcome all the new subs, by the way. Make sure you hit that notification bell, like, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.